Welcome to the 3BA podcast, where bourbon, boners, and being awesome aren't just catchy taglines, but rather categories in which we discuss different topics every single day. My name's Garrett, and I'll be your host along this journey through the bourbon craze, bourbon whiskey craze, men's health issues, and everything that life throws at you in between. On this episode of Boners/Men's Health, I decided that I wanted to bring forward an issue, a topic that I think needs to be discussed, mainly because right at this very second, it's what I'm having to deal with. The purpose of this, the platform in which I wanted the 3BA podcast to be based upon, I've discussed previously, but today on this particular episode, I want to highlight one of the founding, we're not going to call it issues, but topics. And that is dealing with stress. We're going to say stress as a loose term because I felt a need to bring forward how to deal with stress, at least in my own experience. Everybody deals with stress differently. I want to start off by saying I'm not a medical expert. I'm just your average everyday guy. I deal with the same things that I think everybody in this entire world deals with. Rich, poor, healthy, unhealthy. Well, maybe not the unhealthy. But it doesn't matter what your race, your creed, your color is. We all experience different levels and types of stress, mostly on a daily basis. Some of them are small and maybe you can deal with them on the spot. Other issues are a little bit larger and they take a little bit more out of you. Maybe make you feel a little bit more anxious or a little bit more stressed, as I keep saying. So what am I talking about? I won't go in specifics for me. This isn't a platform to cry. This is more of a platform to deal, to cope, to bring to light some ways that I have found that help me. When life throws curveballs at you, when life throws fastballs at you, when life throws any balls at you, really, you got to learn to adjust. You have to learn to cope. You have to learn to deal. And I don't want to get deep on you. That's not the point here. I'm not here to chastise you or tell you what to do. I just want to offer up suggestions and talk about the things that I've pointed out previously that sometimes we have problems discussing. I'm going to talk about one right now, and I'm not the best at talking about it, but I want to bring it up because it is an issue, and we all deal with it. It goes a little like this. Some days, life comes at you fast. It's a tagline from somebody else. And life does. Situations occur. Problems happen. Take your pick. It could be something as small as you got a flat tire. It could be something as large as you lost your job. They're all issues. They all cause you stress in different ways. For me specifically, and why I'm passionately talking about it today, it's compounding issues. It's not one big or one small. It's just compounding situations and issues that are happening specifically to me. Again, I'm not crying. I'm just letting you know. You're not alone. It happens to everyone. For me, it ranges from issues with my job. Not negative issues, just I have a lot of stress in what I do on a daily basis. Fast forward to, for those of you who don't know this about me, you're going to learn right now, I'm a trivia host. I do host trivia at different bars and restaurants in my area during the week. So if my voice sounds familiar or I look like I'm somebody that you may have seen somewhere, I do host trivia with this voice, believe it or not, at bars and restaurants on a regular basis. Again, not an issue directly with my trivia game, but indirectly through a client that I used to have. None of these are really important to you or maybe anybody else, but they are to me. Compound those two issues or those things that have happened throughout my day or my week or my month or my quarter. Add on the stress of, past relationships rearing their head and people who you may or may not still converse with calling you with issues of their own. And I'm not saying friends or enemies or relationships. I'm just saying in general. Could be coworkers, could be just people in your life. Add that all together, stack it on top of each other, and you're in we'll call it the mood that I'm in now. And I'm smiling because sometimes there's nothing else to do but smile. And after a day, a week, or however long it's been that you're having those issues arise, sometimes you feel like you're at the bottom of a mountain that you can't climb. And I get it. It is stressful. I don't know what else to say. I don't know the words to use for you, but for me, it's stress. Can I handle those issues one at a time? I'm going to have to. Do I think that handling all those issues all at once gets overwhelming? Absolutely. How do you handle it? Again, I'm not an expert, but I do think there are some ways for you to tackle what's happening in your own life right now, at this moment, to maybe just improve your overall sense of health and well-being, even if it's just a little bit. Here's what I do. When everything gets thrown on me at once and gets piled on me, I try to do one thing first. You would probably say, Garrett, you probably want to try to take care of some of those issues, right? Address them individually. Yeah, that's part of it. But there's one thing that I do first. Let's take a deep breath. I'm not going to be cheesy and take one right now. I've already done it. Actually done it a lot today. Take a deep breath. Soak in where you are, what you're doing, how you're feeling. And I hate to be technical with you, but assess how you're feeling, where you are, and what you're doing. To start off, it's affirmation. You're breathing. You're alive. And I'm proud of you for that. You're alive. You're here. You're in a place where that stress is being put on you, but you're in a place to have that. We want you around. I want you around. You're alive. Take that deep breath. Now that you've taken that deep breath and you're figuring out where you are, what you're doing, what's happening, is that where you break it down into little small chunks? No. What I like to do when I'm overwhelmed, that's a good word for it, is I like to try to think of something positive. It's easier said than done. I know that. I'm very familiar with depression. That's a whole nother episode. I'm very familiar with depression. I know that for people who are clinically depressed, it's not as easy as thinking of a positive scenario. But for those who fight the depression, and for those who maybe don't have as strong of a sense of depression as those who are diagnosed, here's what I recommend. It's purely a recommendation. Take a deep breath and think of something positive. I don't care if it's your dog. I don't care if it's your team winning a game. I don't care if it's the great piece of fish you cooked last night. I don't care if it's the color of the car that just drove by you that you saw that looked really cool. If it was a red Mustang that just drove by you, that's pretty cool. That's positive. Am I being very simplistic in my explanation? Yes, because that's where you have to start. Start simple. Deep breath, think of something positive. Now, for me, I like to pick a time in my life where I was very happy. Now, you're probably, again, thinking, that's very generic, Garrett. I'll use an example. I was blessed to have another niece and nephew, it was a nephew, born recently. And I can think back to when my first nephew was born. I'm an uncle of 6. But my first nephew was born, and that was a good day. And I smiled that day, and I was proud that day, and I was happy that day. It wasn't my child. It was my brother and sister-in-law's child, but that was a good day. And I smiled, and I remember that feeling. And when those days happen, I try to keep them in my memory bank, if you will. I don't know what you want to call it. Try to keep it in, I don't care if you have to make a note in your phone of good days. But think of that good day. Think of that something good. Because at least you know that there was a time that things were good. I don't mean to go extreme, but that's when you're fighting against that stress and you're fighting against that negativity, you have to think of the good. So here we are. You've taken a deep breath. You've thought of something good. Now, break it down. Sometimes it's not that simple. Let's go to the extreme. You lost your job. Okay. Break it down. You have a skill set. Every single person has a skill set. I don't care who you are. It could be talking on a podcast. It could be hammering a nail. It could be programming a computer. There are skill sets in everything that you do. Maybe it's playing video games. I know a lot of professional video gamers. Man, I sound old. Figure out what that skill set is. Remember that you have skills. If you lost your job, there are other jobs, there are other companies, there are other avenues that you can take with your skill set. I'm positive that there are. We're not going to get political here. I don't plan to ever get political. So take that out of the equation. But the economy that we're in right now, that we're living in these United States of America, there are jobs everywhere. Everywhere. It doesn't matter what part of the country you're in. It doesn't matter what level of education you have. It doesn't matter what level of experience you have. There is a job for everybody out there. And if you think it's beneath you, I think you should reevaluate that thought process. I've had too many times in my life. Never count something out. If you're a hard worker and you have a skill set, find something in which that skill set would make sense and pursue that career, pursue that job, pursue that entry-level position if you need to. So break it down. You lost your job. Okay, let's focus on that. You got out of a relationship. Okay, let's break it down. Is it going to hurt? Absolutely, it's going to hurt. Is it going to be okay tomorrow? No. At least I don't think so. What do you do? Well, you have qualities that someone at some point was attracted to, they liked, they wanted in another person. And if that person doesn't continue to feel that way, okay. We'll talk about relationships and things on another episode. I don't want to go too deep down that rabbit hole, but if it's that stressor, if it's that issue, you have qualities that somebody wants. I promise you. I don't care how down you feel. I don't care how upset you get. I don't care if your heart is smashed into a million pieces. You have qualities that somebody wants. Even if it's a random stranger that you listen to on a podcast, you have qualities that somebody wants. You're dealing with issues from outside forces. I'm trying to be politically correct. Outside issues that are coming in and affecting your life. Sometimes you can't control those. Maybe somebody hits your car. Maybe somebody brings up a past issue or business relationship, or take your pick. Something that you can't control, right? I'm not going to be the guy that says try to tone it out and try to be above or try to be the better person. Sometimes that is impossible to do. I'm not necessarily a petty person, but I will say this. Sometimes it is okay to just say, I don't like that person, that situation, that thing, what happened. I don't like it. I'm being nice. it's not easy to move on from some of those things. If they've happened to you, if someone hit your car, you were not at fault. That is not your fault. You could be mad. I could be mad. I don't like that situation. It's a headache. You have to deal with insurance. You have to repair your car. You're not going to have a vehicle. I'm a one vehicle person. If someone were to hit my car, I wouldn't be able to drive anywhere. I'd have to rent one, or I'd have to get my insurance company to provide me one. That's a headache that would drive me crazy. No one's hit my car, thankfully. Knock on wood. But that is an issue that you're going to have to deal with. My tangents are a summation of this. Break it down. Whatever you're going through, whatever issue, whatever situation is causing you stress, break it down. So here's my process thus far. Take a deep breath. Think of something good or a good time, a good day, a good situation, and then break it down. You don't eat a steak in one bite, right? You cut it into pieces. For those vegetarians out there, you don't eat a whole eggplant in one bite. You cut it into pieces. Break it down into smaller chunks so you can attack it in different ways. And I do say attack because this is that positive spin on the situation that I try to give every time that I feel the way that I feel, even right now. Attack the situation with purpose and determination. It's easy to say. It is. It's harder to do. It really is. But after you've assessed, you've taken it all in, you're mad, you're upset, you're stressed, you've taken your deep breath, you thought of some good stuff, you break it down. Now, as generic as it's going to sound, and probably very easy for me to say, harder to do, but make a plan. Make a plan. It could be something as simple as, you know what? Next time I see a phone number pop up on my phone, I'm not going to answer it, or I'm going to block a number. It could be, next time I'm in a situation at work, I'm not going to do X, I'm going to do Y. It could be, the next time I'm around a group of people, instead of getting into gossip or getting into things that they're saying, I'm just going to choose to kind of stay off to the side. You can't control that issue sometimes. That's some of the ones that I was talking about before. But just choose to be positive. It's an easier said than done situation. But choose to be positive. Maybe remove yourself from that situation. Change the topic of conversation. Talk about something else. But make a plan and work on that plan. And then finally, it's not really a final step. It's an ongoing step. And that is work on you. Control what you can control. A lot of these sayings and things that I'm saying on this podcast to you right now, you've heard before. And sometimes when you hear something, it goes in one ear and out the other. But I promise you, I am giving you my promise that if you actually attempt and stick to what you're saying, eventually, a day, an hour, a year later, it will get better. It will. I'm not going to make you promise that I can't keep. It may be 10 years, but it will get better. Even if you have to listen to me and make fun of me, it'll get better. Take a deep breath. Think of something good. Break it down. Formulate a plan. And work the plan. Have to work the plan. Keep moving forward. Control what you can control. In my lowest of lows, and I've been there, I lost a job. I got out of a relationship. I've left cities. That's a true story. I've left cities. I moved away. That was my response. I struggled. There were some tough times in my life. What I would sit down and assess at the end of everything I just told you is, what do I have control over right now? I don't have a job. I just lost the girl that I was with. What am I going to do? What can I do right now? I did what a lot of people out there who lose a job and maybe get out of a relationship do. You look for a new job, right? Apply. Get online. Ask friends for positions that might have open. I took some time to heal, right? I don't jump right back into a relationship. Some of you may. That's fine. Whatever your healing process for a relationship or getting out of a relationship is, more power to you. I'm not going to tell you what's wrong or right. You are your own person. For me, I need some time. I need some time to heal. I need some time to process. And then I need a lot more time to work on me. And that lowest of low, what I decided to do, and I'm not saying you need to do this, but I would highly recommend it. It's a rush of endorphins, right? It's that energy boost. And you're probably going to say, Garrett, how do you do that? Well, I go for a run. I may not look like a runner, but I do go for runs. It hurts. It's not fun. And I'm not the skinniest guy. But when I'm done with that run or walk or jog, the feeling you get that you've accomplished something, that you've done something, you've worked out those muscles, and you got that rush of adrenaline and you're feeling it, your body automatically feels better. So this isn't really one of my recommendations per se, but I would tell you that working out, in my experience, does help. Even if it's doing some push-ups on your living room floor. If you don't have a gym membership, I'm not saying go get one, but do some push-ups. Go for a walk. Clear your head, as they say. The goal of this podcast and the goal of maybe this conversation is to let you know that you're not alone and that everybody goes through stressful situations. Even the richest of the rich, the wealthiest of wealthy, the people that may not seem to have any problems or a care in the world, I'm sure they have gone through some stress in their life. Take a deep breath. Think of something good. Break it down. Form a plan. And control what you can control. That's what I try to do. Sure as hell isn't easy. And right now, tonight, you can probably hear it in my voice, a little feisty. Feisty is a good word. I practice what I preach. I'm never going to tell you something that I don't do myself first or have tried. And I'm only giving you points in which I have found that work for me. Maybe your plan is different. Maybe your 5 points are different than mine. And that's okay. You're not alone. I just want you to know that. So with that, until next time, hopefully next time won't be as feisty. But until next time, stay strong out there. Take a deep breath, and we'll catch you next time.